Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al, week 18, and we have no idea what the hell's going on DraftKings for NFL DFS in week 18 because the teams have not announced who is playing and who is not playing, so there's a lot more unknown this week. I'm going to do my best to take and answer the questions that Twitch chat has for me on this Friday morning. It's 10:20 a.m. on the West Coast on Friday morning. We're going to go through, like we do every single Friday, talk about our preferred builds for cash games, what routes we could take in tournaments, any questions that the chat has. A lot of them are going to probably revolve around, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? There's a lot unknown. There's always a lot unknown because it's daily fantasy, but it feels like this week there's a lot more unknown than not. Situations like Tampa Bay's running backs, right? We know that Ronald Jones is out, but we don't know what type of a split on snaps or touches we're going to see between Le'Veon Bell and Keyshawn Vaughn. We can speculate, but we don't know for sure like we would on normal weeks. And there's a lot of situations like that. Thankfully, we do know the situations for each team, what they need to do to win, to get themselves into playoffs, or get themselves into better situations, or seeding. And it does feel like there's more teams this year that have things to play for than other years. We also have some players with contract incentives. We're going to break down all of it and talk about it as best as we can. I'll give you my most honest answers that I can with what I know. But some of those answers this week are just going to be, I don't know. So be sure that you tune in the 45 minutes before lock on twitch.tv/L_smizzle or just smizzle.tv/live. Go drop a follow over there. Right before kickoff, we answer questions again, just like this in that format to try and get some last minute thoughts out. And this week it's going to be extremely necessary because we will know more then than we know now. Right now, we're kind of under the gun like in poker. Then we're operating from the button. We have way more information at that point. Inactives have already been called, at least for the early games, and we have a better idea of who's going to be inactive for the late games. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, leave me a reply down below. And let's go.
He's a legend.
A couple of quick reminders before I bring in the chat. One, the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel has been launched. We've already kicked this off. I already have the first video up. All my off-season content for fantasy football is going to be there. For your season-long, way too early first round looks, mock drafts before the NFL draft, mock drafts for the fantasy football season, looks at must-draft running backs, must-draft receivers, must-avoid players, players that I'm higher on than the field, ADP looks, everything throughout the offseason with plenty of guests and everything else. Go check out the new fantasy football channel at smizzle.tv/FF. And as I said, my best ball recap is already posted there if you wanted to go check that out. Also, the Smiz Gang Listener League is up for this week. We got almost 1,000 people in there. 5 max, $10, and 100% of the money in goes out. Absolutely zero rake. The best tournament on DraftKings. Smizzle.tv/league. I know you can find it, guys. It's been 18 flipping weeks. I know you can find it. Smizzle.tv/league. Or if you look on the description to the video, click show more. If you're on mobile, click the right underneath. You see the title of the video on your phone. Click the title. It'll expand the description. It's in there too. Smizzle.tv/league. Bookmark it. It's the same link every single week. It's always the same. It's been the same. It always will be the same. Let's bring in the chat and talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about. Bates' cash tight end lock. Gronk, interesting. I don't know where we're going in tight end this week, to be honest with you. I feel like it's a pay up week at tight end, and maybe like even like the mid-price guys, right? So like you don't have to pay all the way up for like a Mark Andrews, though it does look like Snoop Huntley's going to be starting, and we know what's happened in the games that Snoop Huntley's been starting. It's been an awful lot of targets with some big time games there, but you got to pay way up to get him. 7,500 is actually a lot most weeks, but definitely this week. I think that Zach Ertz is probably your top cash game tight end. 40 targets over the last 4 weeks. There's only 4 pass catchers in the league right now over that span that have more targets than Zach Ertz. Jefferson, Kupp, Devontae Adams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's it. But he's priced at $5,300. Now go look at what those other guys are priced at. This is since Nuke Hopkins left the game in week 14 and beyond, since he's been out. That he's gotten this ridiculous market share of targets. Go look at the prices on all those other wide receivers. They're like 7K to 90 or 7,500 to like 9,700. So you're getting that at tight end for 5,300, which is a differentiating position. He has not scored touchdowns, I understand. But based on his targets, receptions, and yards over that period, he should have scored more touchdowns, and Seattle also not that great defense. Kittle looks nice. He does, and nobody's going to play him. He'll be under 5% this week easily. Frymouth, safer floor. I don't know if Frymouth depends a lot on touchdowns. Go look through Frymouth through his game log if you want. Now, he might see an uptick in targets this week. That's certainly possible with Deontay Johnson out. But like, Frymouth does not see a lot of targets very often at all. He's typically a 3 to 6 target player. And he's priced just below Zach Ertz. So that's weird to me. That you have a tight end who's a lot of his scoring has come via scoring touchdowns, right? So scored a touchdown here in week 14, had 11 points. Without that touchdown, that's 5.2, 7.2, 7.7, 7.6. Remove the touchdown here, 8. Remove the touchdown here, 5. He's not a consistent scorer without getting himself into the end zone. Now, he's got a lot of touchdowns. He's got 7 of them this year. So like he's clearly getting into the end zone, but I don't want to spend on a touchdown dependent player. This is why we talk about trying to get players who can pay off their salary with volume alone. Right? That's kind of how we look at things. Ray or Harris seem like the Steelers to play this week. Yeah, Ray McLeod is sub 4K and should play 75 to 90% of the snaps at wide receiver, running most of his routes from the slot, but he's tied to Ben's performance. Like theoretically, based on what his ADOT projects to be, if he gets like 8 or 10 targets, he should get 15 points. But Ben, I don't know another way to put that right now. But Ben, though Ben should be playing against a lot of backups. Like I think that Ray should be popular this week. Yeah, he's tough. It's tough for him to fail. It is going to be very, very tough for Ray McLeod to fail this week. But you've also got situations in other games too, right? We have the Green Bay situation where I know people are going to try and fight me in the replies. Some of y'all are going to fight me in chat as well, like right now, about the playing time expected from the Green Bay wide receivers. The Green Bay quarterback situation. Well, such and such said that they were going to play, and somebody else said that they weren't going to play. Like they're locked in. They have no benefit right now to playing these guys, 1, at all, 2, any more than like the first quarter. So Green Bay is one of those situations, kind of like I mentioned in the open, that we don't know how many snaps they're going to play. Now, assumption of rational coaching would be that, look, let's get them a series. We can script the series. We'll try and stay. And then like Adams, Rodgers, Jones, Dillon, get them out. We're trying to win a ring. We're not trying to win the week 18 championship, which would open up other players on Green Bay like Juwan Winfrey, Equiminius St. Brown, brother of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like those are the week 18 plays that we're usually, that final week of the NFL season that we've become accustomed to over the years. Right? I don't think that you could play any of those in cash. I think Ray McLeod would be your guy that people are going to want to lean on. I think that looking at the other Pittsburgh wide receivers as well, with Deontay Johnson out, is interesting. James Washington's going to play more snaps. He's 3,700. He plays primarily on the outside. They clearly, as a team, don't like him, and he demanded a trade earlier in the season. Chase Claypool at 5,100 should get elevated targets. And the one game that Deontay Johnson missed this year, we saw Najee Harris get 19 targets. I'm not projecting 19 targets for Harris, but he should get more than he you're vacating 30 to 35% of the targets that come from Ben Roethlisberger with Deontay Johnson out. So one person is not going to soak up all of that. They're all going to get a bump. Do the Cowboys or Eagles have anything to play for? Like individually? Or, I mean, that's a Saturday game, first of all. So that's a Saturday slate thing. The Cowboys have already clinched the NFC East. They need to win. They're going to be playing to win. Because if they win, there's a path for them to play at home for the first 2 weeks. Because they could be the 2 seed. It's a slim shot at the 2 seed. But they could get the 2 seed. They could also finish as low as the 4. So, like, you want to get that extra home game if you can. So they're going to try and win that game, but they're on Saturday. The Eagles, I don't think they have much to play for. There's nothing for them there. You know, there's no meat on the bone. They can't get a home game. They can't really avoid much. You know, they could theoretically play backups on Saturday, but that's a Saturday slate game. Unless you're playing Saturday, Sunday, or if you're just focused on the Saturday game, that just kind of is what it is. Why don't we take a look over at Underdog and see what they have over there for us in terms of the props? I want to see what's up on Friday. I had this queued up because I was like, oh, look, Matthew Stafford, over under 0.5 interceptions. I love the over under, like, just one thing has to happen. Like over under half a touchdown. It's a binary decision. Do you think he's going to score a touchdown or no? It's a yes or no question. So Matthew Stafford over 0.5 interceptions was like, you know what? That seems like a really good bet. And I bet you a whole bunch of people took over because they took it off the board. So we've got to refresh this. If you have not already checked out the fine products that they have over at UnderdogFantasy.com, you can go to smizzle.tv/underdog, or you can just use code ALSMizzle and you get, I believe they are still doing, but don't quote me, the deposit match up to $100. So if you deposit $100 using code ALSMizzle, you will get another $100 added that you can then use to play. Let's see what they got here on the slate. Let's pick a couple. Nope, not saying your name. Dare Ogunbowale, 39 yards rushing. Nobody else, though. Like, yeah, they're going to be behind. Okay, so Allen over 277. Let me go Allen over 277. It's still there. Chad, it's still there. Who else? Cup over 116. Gotta have Cup over 116, right? 136 to break the record. Let's do a stupid 5. How about a stupid 5? That's Sunday night. No. I know that unders are sharper, but like, also, I don't care. So if he's got the over that, let's go over Steph. No, I don't want to see Steph Diggs. He is the American hero. I understand. But like, over. There's probably weather in that game too, right? Darrell Williams, 61 rushing yards. No, I don't want a Saturday one. I don't want Saturday. I want Sunday only. Sunday only. Puke stack. Over 217. Over 217 passing. You know how we're going to get there? We're going to get there because he's going to throw a screen pass to Jonathan Taylor and he's going to take it 80 yards to the house. So there it is. I'm going to play that. $50 to win 1,000. 5 picks. All stupid. All overs. There they are. Go check out the fine products that they have over at Underdog Fantasy. Yeah, some silly ones. But they're not going to populate that page in full until like Sunday morning. Because like, they don't want to lock themselves into bad lines. Diggs yards and not catches. Catches, he has 6 for contract incentives. He needs over 200 yards for another incentive. I don't think he's going to get there over 200 yards. I kind of... He could. It's a massive underdog, though. I don't know another way to... Yeah, so like Kevin Roth has that game over at rotogrinders.com. Smizzle.tv/rotogrinders to go check that out. He has this game, 20 mile per hour sustained winds, stronger gusts, longer passing kicks will be impacted. But again, it's Friday and weather can change. This is where it's modeled going into the weekend. So hopefully the wind kind of dies down in that situation and they can just go. But if you notice the you know, if you notice the cover, Devin Singletary is my favorite play in that game. Would I include Singletary in my Allen stacks? No. The point of Allen stacks to me is to get off Singletary usage. You know, that's kind of how I'm viewing Allen doubles. And I talked about this in the Top Stacks video. If you have not checked out the Top Stacks video this week, go check it out. I did an entire thing during the Allen portion of the show. And I feel like people are taking that like, well, okay, so that it's only Alvin is only talking about Allen, and I'm not. I'm talking about those situations. It was based on teams with totals over this, teams that are favored by this many or more points. Allen fits both of those categories this weekend. Obviously, there's weather in that situation. Let's, you know, and we'll monitor that as we get closer to lock. Y'all can type exclamation point weather in the chat if you want to know my thoughts on weather. But that's, you know, that just kind of is where I'm at with that. It's like, look, if teams have high totals, and we've seen this every single time. I remember I went on this rant with Brady earlier in the year that everybody, when they see a really heavily favored team, the default public answer is, you know, the default public answer is you can't play the quarterback because they're just going to run the ball all day. Or I'm not playing the quarterback because, you know, I'm going to be smart and I'm not going to play the quarterback. Smiz thinks in the chat, I'm not going to play the quarterback because they're just going to get up by so much that they're going to pull all their starters. Well, if you think that they're going to pull all their starters in an NFL game, that would mean that they're up like 40 points. Because this ain't college. This is not the Big 12. This is not the SEC. This is not the Pac-12. This is the NFL. And so if you're pulling your starters, it's going to be somewhere in the fourth quarter, and you're probably up 45-3. And if you're up 45-3, how did they get all those touchdowns? A lot of times, it's because they threw the ball. Aaron Rodgers, games that he rested, usually in that, like, I'm not saying that, well, you know, they had 2 defensive touchdowns. The backup fullback got one, and then the backup running back got another one, and then some other random stuff, and they had a kick return. Like, sure, it's possible that other things happen like that, but like, we've seen Brady in past years. We've seen Mahomes stacks where they were massive favorites, and they throw for like 4 or 5 touchdowns. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson throwing for like 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, and like 25 attempts, because efficiency, not volume, is what leads to fantasy scoring. So when these teams put up 40 burgers or 50 burgers, and it's what's causing them to rest their starters late in the game, everybody's eaten already. You know, just kind of is what it is. Yeah, 5 special teams touchdowns and a rushing touchdown by the fullback. That's how they get there. Yeah. So like if they get to that point where they've put up 6 touchdowns on the board and Allen threw for 4, ran for 1, Singletary ran for 1 and caught for 1, Diggs caught 2, and one of the other wide receivers that you're going to play caught 1. Yeah, that double stack, 8. By the time that they're, you know, taking their helmets off and pads off on the sideline and watching Matt Barkley go to work, or whoever. Who's their backup? Trubisky. Once he comes in, like, Allen's already eaten. So that's not an Allen specific take. That's a teams that are favored by more than 10 with a team total of 25 plus take. If they score 30 plus points, how'd they get the points? Are you describing the Bengals? I'm describing all teams that score points. You did really well stacking KC against bad teams last year. Yeah, people fade it and they just run to the running back. So the running back becomes chalk. So 2 things are happening. You're not playing the chalk running back when you do that, right? So you're getting off of where the crowd is, and you're also leveraging against it because they're like, well, the running back's going to score all the touchdowns this week. And like the running back doesn't score the touchdowns. They come through the passing game. So like everybody that has the running back goes down and you go up, and people aren't playing the quarterback because they don't want to. And you're double stacking that quarterback, gaining extra leverage on, like, it's honestly playing those situations is one of the most powerful tournament things that you can do, because the crowd doesn't do it. The only place that they've done it this year is the Buccaneers, where there was no leverage to be had on the Buccaneers. Everybody played Leonard Fournette in all the games that they were favored by 10 plus, and everybody played Brady stacks in every game that they were favored by 10 plus. Who would I bring back? Jimmy G at quarterback. Ew, I don't play Jimmy G at quarterback. Is Jimmy G playing this week? Do we even know that he's in? We have to wait for the Friday practice report with him. He was limited on Wednesday. Like, he did nothing on Wednesday. He was extremely limited on Thursday. We haven't seen or heard anything from the Friday practice report. So, like, I kind of feel like that Lance would be the favorite to start. But again, if Lance doesn't start, don't play Lance. I didn't hear Focus this morning. Oh, she didn't. You're just asking me to text Stefania. I thought like you had something that I missed. Like, did she say something about it? Will Lance be the starter there next year? I mean, if he's not, I want him to be. For my own, like, I think that for fantasy purposes, I'm selfishly thinking about this through a fantasy lens. Just like I was selfishly viewing Jalen Hurts through a fantasy lens all offseason. Right? If you remember all my takes this offseason, like, Jalen Hurts is going to be amazing in fantasy. And man, did I hear it from everybody. Jalen Hurts sucks. He's not a good QB. He'll be out of the league in 2 years. The Eagles don't like him. Every narrative answer they come up with, because they had already had something that they'd made up their mind that Jalen Hurts was bad. And I'm like, yeah, but fantasy, he's going to be real good. He'd need a big offseason to start next year. Who, Lance? The Niners have to get something out of him on this rookie contract. Is Kittle my best bet if Jimmy G plays? I think Debo's great this week. I really do. Woo! Big sneeze. Lance, he's really not ready yet, but you need him for contract purposes. You need him for a lot of different reasons. You can't. Now we're talking NFL and not fantasy. So, like, you can't spend a lot of assets to go and acquire the most powerful contract in sports and then waste it. If you're drafting a rookie quarterback to sit him for 3 years because you think he's too raw to start, you're wasting the time where he's actually valuable for you. And it's not like you just drafted him. You spent assets to draft him. Let's say, y'all know my take on Jimmy Garoppolo. He's like maybe the 16 to the 32nd best quarterback in the league. I don't care where you put him in there. He's not above average. He's a below average starting quarterback in the NFL. You could have just drafted Mac Jones and not given up assets and still had a rookie QB who could start at this point in time and do all the same things that Jimmy G can do, except you'd pay him, I don't know, 25 to 30 less million a year for the next 5 years. And as good as that team is right now, that roster is excellent. That roster is ready to win right now if they had an above average quarterback, or they had a cheap enough quarterback that they could just go out and buy everything else. Just let them go shopping this summer. But you can't do that with Jimmy G on the roster. You can do that if Trey Lance is your starter and you just say, look, Lance is going to do what he does, and hopefully he turns out to be like Josh Allen, right, in a year or two, and hopefully right now he can get us what we get, and then we can just build everything else and just overwhelm everyone everywhere, and hopefully he just doesn't suck too bad. But this is a fantasy show. Yeah, it's not Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, but like they did, you know, they made a move up to go get Jordan Love. That was all, again, that was a mistake. Any must-play running back besides Singletary for cash? For cash, JT. So like cash game build this week. I kind of feel like it's either Huntley or Lance. I have not made up my mind because I'm not looking at anything because there's too much up in the air and there's too much we don't know. What we do know is that I want to have Taylor. I want to have Singletary. I kind of want to have Cup too. I understand if you don't want to try and fit all that in there. You know, but like we're going to have Ray in a cash game sort of build. You're going to have some defense. I don't know. Like how about the Lions going up against the backups, right? And I think you can just fit stuff, right? I think you could just fit stuff. I think you can get here. I definitely think that you can get to that. I don't think that's impossible at all. And there's probably going to be at least one other sub 4K wide receiver who's in play. We talked about the two guys like Winfrey or Equanimous St. Brown on Green Bay. Wesley, another one for the Cardinals, that you could make other stuff work. You could get Ertz, you could go somebody else here, and you could go something there. You know, you've got the Bucs running back situation, which we haven't talked about yet, right? Like I kind of mentioned it. I didn't tease it, but like I kind of mentioned it in the open that with Leonard Fournette on IR and scheduled to come back next week, and Ronald Jones now determined out on Friday. God bless the Buccaneers every Friday for getting us the guys who are out early so that we kind of know where we're going to go at least a little bit. They basically have two players left. Three if you include Gio, but like they're not giving Gio full run. So you've got Keyshawn Vaughn, who played, don't fact check me please, but like I think he played like 25 snaps last week for the Buccaneers in the game where Rojo left early. And he's 5,300, and then we have Le'Veon Bell, who last week played 27 snaps for the Buccaneers, more than Rojo. My initial feel is that this is going to be closer to a 50-50 split than not. However, stranger things have happened, and depending on what projection set you look at, certain sites are going to favor one over the other. Certain sites are going to have them very close. I think the narrative is, well, people are going to talk themselves into Keyshawn Vaughn playing 75% of the snaps when I think it's way closer to like 50% between Bell and Vaughn. And we have the ever-present Tom Brady, who is going to essentially be the one who makes the decision on which running back plays more snaps this weekend. And that's a big unknown. Because if one of these two guys isn't where they're supposed to be, doesn't pick up a blitz right, doesn't catch the hot route that Tom puts out, doesn't have a full grasp of the playbook, which I assume would trend towards being Vaughn, drops a pass like we've seen Vaughn do. Like there's pluses and negatives that you could say for either one of these two guys based on the Tom Brady, I hate you narrative. You know, I like you better, I don't like you narrative. That Tom's going to say, get him off the field, get this guy out here, I feel more comfortable with him. And so it puts out a lot of unknown in that situation. I personally think they split very close to 50-50, maybe 55-45 the other way, one way or the other. But on Friday afternoon, I'm not clear as to which one I prefer. They're very similarly priced. That's one where it's essentially a coin flip, and a lot of it is up to the whim of Tom Brady. Do I like Samaje Perine this week? So what I don't like, let me answer this question this way for you. What I don't like is the Bengals offense. We know Burrow's not playing. I like Burrow. We know he's not playing. I don't think Brandon Allen is a great quarterback. Taking a look over at the Fantasy Labs Vegas page, this is a free tab on Fantasy Labs. I know it's skewed a little bit off the screen because of the sizing that I do here in OBS. But you can go here, go to fantasylabs.com, smizzle.tv/labs with that uppercase L, and go here. Hover over NFL, slide down to Vegas. It's a free page. You don't have to be subbed to get here. Can I just make this main slate? I think I can. Yes. But that didn't do it. I just want Sunday only. Yes. It's not great. They have a team total of 16. They're playing on the road against talented defense. Neither team with much to play for. They're 6-point underdogs on the, like, yeah, can Perine get there? Sure. But where's the upside? On a bad offense with backups. If they're sitting sitting these guys that they're sitting this week, do you think that Jamar Chase plays a ton? Do you think that all the guys that make things move do the great things? He's cheap enough? Yeah, but like, do we need him? Like, he could get there. I agree. He could get there. But I don't know that we need him. Steelers, under 20. Like, you better be chasing volume here. You know, you can chase that volume of Perine if you want. Like, it's just, look at all the movement. We don't see this much movement. Look at the changes. 5-point swing from open once Burrow was out. 7.5-point swing. Aaron Rodgers is worth 7.5. Vegas believes, the market believes, that Aaron Rodgers is not playing. Right? Colts, 5.5 points towards them. 29.5 total. Hence the puke stack from the other day. Everybody's going to be on JT. You can have your puke stack very easily by stacking Wentz. Yeah, it's possible that JT could run for 225 yards and 3.5 touchdowns, but like, also maybe he doesn't. Like, looking at all the ridiculous, like, Giants. Washington opened as a 2-point underdog. They are now a 7-point favorite. 5-point swing here. Saints, Falcons. KAMARA looks like a great play. Look at this one. Bucks. Market thinks that Brady is not going to play this whole game. Ain't the running backs that did that. This team total has fallen. Manny Sanders doubtful. That makes sense. Right? So a lot of line movement this week and a lot of movement on totals as well. 46-38, down 2 here. All the totals, which started really low on the week. If you remember, first look on Tuesday, I was like, these totals are very low. These totals were low, 45, 40. They came way down. A lot of them came way down. This game looks really tasty, though. And this game looks really tasty. Hopefully the weather subsides here and we have another tasty game. So, like, the late games, I don't think there's going to be much opportunity for those of you who do not have PMR this week. And you're sitting on top. Look, I'm in like 5th place in the tournament. You ain't going to finish there. Not with all the PMR that's going to be chasing you down. This is a week to be the hunter, not the hunted. TB is coin flip on running back. Perine is a lock to play. Okay. Like, I'm saying, like, he's fine. I'm not saying don't play him. I don't think we need him. Like, in cash. Okay. I need to explain the way that I'm thinking. I don't think that he's somebody that we need to go after in cash. Not with Singletary, Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook, Michael Carter, David Montgomery, Sony Michel, whichever Bucks running back, Najee Harris, Antonio Gibson at 5,800, Deontay Foreman at 5,700. I don't know that we need Samaje Perine. He's 5,300. It's not like he's free. You know, there's plenty of other players in better offensive environments. So, like, I think he is a tournament play. I don't think he should be anywhere near a cash game. And I think that his viability is going to be based on what you believe the public, how much of the public is going to have him. How much are you then going to put into your lineups? And what players ahead of him have to fail for that to be the right play? I think there's too many players at 6K and down at running back for him to fail. Or sorry, that would have to fail for him to succeed. Right? So for the Samaje Perine play to succeed, he needs to have 20 to 30 DraftKings points. And he also needs, so I'm going to go off all the 6K and down guys. Sony Michel, Michael Carter, Devin Singletary, Keyshawn Vaughn, Deontay Foreman, Antonio Gibson. I'll throw Devonta Freeman in there as well. All to not have 15 or more for him to be a viable tournament play this week. That's a lot. That's a lot of players that, like, yeah, chalk fails. Chalk can fail. But, like, you're talking about 8 players that would have to fail and Perine succeed for him to be a viable tournament play this week. That's tough. Not saying it's impossible. It's just tough. Do I think Cam Akers gets a 50% workload? Not even close. I think he'll get like a couple of snaps. I'd be shocked if he got more than 10 snaps. I think it's a, hey, get him on the field, make him feel good. The team, like, they want to win. And it's not like Sony Michel has done poorly. Sony Michel has played 57 of 58 snaps last week, 63 of 70 the week before, 48 of 66, all 58 against the Cardinals, 66 of 66 against the Jaguars. Like, they're not just going to all of a sudden say, okay, we're a team that plays our running back 90+% of the snaps, but hey, we got Cam Akers back from an Achilles tear or whatever. It was Achilles or his ACL, whatever he tore, right? I forget, in preseason. And we're just going to play him 50%. No. Also, don't trust Sean McVay. Don't trust what McVay tells you. Trust what McVay does. And, like, here's all of his 57 of 58, 63 of 70, 48 of 66 against the Seahawks, 58 of 58 here, 60. Like, he rides his one player. That's it. He plays the running back. We know the way that the Rams roll things out. Would I make an exception to put Michelle in a lineup with Stafford as a double stack? No. I think that Michelle's going to be the reason to double stack Stafford in tournaments. One, I don't think Stafford's going to have a lot of people on him. Okay? That's one. I think that a lot of people are going to be on Cooper Kupp. By a lot, I mean like over 20%. 20 to 30% on Cooper Kupp. I think that 20 to 30% of people are going to be on Sony Michel. So I don't want to eat up 50 to 60% of the 130 that I'm going to allow myself to play the chalk in a tournament stack. The point of doing the double stack is to get away from something. And so if I'm going to leverage, if I'm going to play Cooper Kupp, because it's like, look, I think he's going to have 100 yards, 10 catches, that's 23 points right there without a touchdown. 100 yards, 10 receptions, 23 points on DraftKings. Anything else above that is gravy. If he scores a touchdown, 29. If he gets the record, if he gets 14 catches and 140 yards and breaks both records, more points. If one of those turns into a touchdown, even more points. Path to a running back getting that is not that great. Sony Michel does not eat up more than 12% of the target market share from the quarterback. So if you think that they are going to win this game and you think they're going to do it through the air against the San Francisco pass defense that has not been outstanding at stopping wide receivers, you want to eat up a lower percentage guy that other people aren't going to have in combination with Stafford and Kupp. So it doesn't make sense to play the both together from a game theory perspective. Taysom Hill, KAMARA stack viable for GPP this week? Yeah, you could do that. Falcons are terrible. Will I talk about leverage and what it means and why it's important? I mean, if you're trying to win a tournament where all the money's up top, you have to get away from the things that other people are doing and take out large swaths of the field with one chop. So that's why you try to avoid playing multiple super chalky players in a lineup. It's also why it's more important for the cumulative percentage of your team on projection as opposed to just one player, right? Well, this player is going to be 30%, so I can't play that one guy. You want to have combinations of plays that hit while other people aren't on it. So if everybody is on one thing, the easiest leverage spots are like, if everybody was going to play like Aaron Jones on a normal week, let's say, if everybody was going to play Aaron Jones, he was going to be 30 to 40% played. So like, how do you get off of that? If you still think Green Bay is going to slap, right? If you think they're going to just smash their opponent and everybody's going to play Aaron Jones, okay, well, what about if I just go Rodgers, Devontae Adams? You would then be levering. You would, those, if Aaron Jones has no touchdowns and like 85 yards total and like 3 catches, has like 11, 12 point day when everybody was hoping that he'd have a 25 to 30 point day. And then you get onto the Rodgers stack and he throws for 3 touchdowns and 350 yards and 2 of those go to Devontae Adams. You now have a combination that is being less played by the field in the same game situation. And all the people that have Jones didn't get there. And the few people, there's way less people like you that have the Rodgers Adams stack, you go up. So while they go down, you also go up. Pirine that I went through earlier, that's not leverage, right? That's just, I'm playing a contrarian play to get off of everybody being here. So if this fails, then I can play this. But it's not direct leverage. So like everybody's going to be on Jonathan Taylor this week. So the way to leverage Jonathan Taylor ownership in tournaments with their team total being what it is, right? Like 29.5, they have like a ridiculously high team total and they're favored by like 15. So like if you want to leverage off of that, you play this, and then I don't know, something else maybe, right? And if you want to get off of that without using leverage, I'm not going to play Jonathan Taylor in lineups because, like, what if Jonathan Taylor just has like 120 yards rushing, catches one ball, and the fullback gets a touchdown? And Wednesday, like, what if Jonathan Taylor only scores like 19 fantasy points this week? That's not good enough for 9,300. But what if you get like Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara? And you get like a 36 or a 27 point week out of him at projecting somewhere between 5 and 10%, but Taylor's going to be 25 to 35%. So that's not leverage. That's just making a tournament play at a position. Like everybody's going to be here. I'm going to do something different, right? You can same price pivot. Everybody's going to be on Singletary at 6K. So I want to build the same lineup that I have, but I want to get off of everybody that's going to be there. So maybe Sony Michel, maybe DeAndre Swift, maybe Eli Mitchell, guys that are at the same price point. It's the same price point pivot to get a more contrarian lineup at the same exact price point. So you don't have to change anything else in your lineup. The other way to go is if everybody's going to pay up, if it's a team jam min week, I'm not saying to play this week. I'm saying, but if this was like the route, if this was the way, this was the path that everybody's going to go, it's more likely that a lot of people, this is going to eat up a lot this week. From projections, Jefferson is projecting at over 20%. I'm still shocked by that. But Jefferson over 20%, Cooper Kupp at like 25 plus. If both of these guys are going to eat up, like let's say 45 to 50%, and they're going to eat up this much salary between the two of them, 17,800 in salary. Do you want to know how you get different this week? Don't spend at wide receiver. Find cheaper wide receivers. Your lineup will immediately be different from the majority of the teams who are going to have those guys in them. So see what the public is doing and find ways off of what the public is doing would be the easiest way to go about pretty much all of it. Especially on a week where there's so much up in the air. There's a couple of weather spots. There's a couple situations where, we may or may not know who's going to play and how much they're going to play. And if everybody is congregating on a couple of plays or a couple of situations, it's very easy to find different ways to go just by talking your way through it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate y'all being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and look out for another video there.
He's a legend.